Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Sunday, January 7th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, ready to break down the Sunday NHL card. We have 4 games on tap. All 4 games actually have a minus 150 or higher favorite. So tells you what kind of slate it is today in the NHL. Not the best, but we're here every day, rain or shine, whatever the games are that they are. And we are here to break down the 4 that are taking place on Sunday. This definitely feels like a day where the NHL does take a bit of a backseat to the NFL, with it being the final day of the regular season in the National Football League and all these playoff spots about to be decided today. But there's money to be made still in the NHL with these 4 games. So we'll get to those in a moment. We will start with the Saturday NHL recap. And it was obviously a very busy Saturday. As always, it started early in the day, a very chippy affair. The Flames and the Flyers in that game, they got a little rough and tumble, which is good to see. All of a sudden, the last couple of days, we've seen some games with some animosity, a lot of bad blood developing, and that's always a good thing for the sport. I think it makes for more exciting, entertaining brand of hockey, and we saw some of that in that Flyers-Flames game. Flyers getting the job done, though, a 3-2 win against the Calgary Flames, a game where, look, Philly responded from multiple deficits and found a way, and that's basically been the mantra for the Flyers under John Tortorella all season, is just find a way to win. Doesn't have to be pretty. But they were able to do that yesterday, 3-2 against Calgary. All right, the other game yesterday afternoon was about as impressive a start as you could have against a team the caliber of the Colorado Avalanche. Florida races out to a 3-0 lead. Sam Reinhart gets 2 of the goals. And I said on social media after he scored those 2 goals, what's his contract going to be next year? $23 million per year? I mean, it kind of feels like, man, he could actually, if there was no such thing as a salary cap, his play right now could earn him that much. He's been ridiculous for the Florida Panthers this year. Absolutely insane what we're seeing out of Sam Reinhart. And then Colorado, crazy as it is, they storm back. They tie the game 3-3. It looks like Florida's in trouble. And then Florida gets it right back on the ropes again, 4-3. Gets the train back on the tracks, 4-3. Colorado ties it 4-4. And then penalty trouble for Colorado. Florida makes them pay. And then that was the final nail in the coffin. They run away and hide after that. Putting a few more goals on the board and eventually getting an 8-4 win. And I said it after that win, Alex, and I'll get your thoughts as well on it. I'm ready to now say, if I wasn't fully on board already, because there was that part of me all season so far to this point with Florida that thought, maybe they just got red hot last year. Maybe they just caught fire late in the spring. Maybe they just got on this incredible, magical carpet ride run into the playoffs, into the Stanley Cup final, and that it's unsustainable to be able to run it back and be a legit, credible contender again this year. I'd have to see it. Well, they're starting to prove it to me that they are a legit Stanley Cup contender again, because this is not just a win streak anymore. This is dominance. Okay, they just went into Vegas and dummied last year's Stanley Cup final or Stanley Cup champion. They just went to Colorado yesterday and they embarrassed, especially in the first period, the team that won it 2 years ago. So you got to give Florida a ton of credit. This is not just a win streak. This is facing good teams and making them look stupid, at certain times of the game. And what Florida's done, Alex, in this streak, it's impressive. And it got even more impressive big time with these 2 road wins in convincing fashion at Vegas and at Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible run that they're on right now. And, I think there's some wins that are a little bit more impressive in this streak than even, necessarily looking at the 2 Vegas wins. We've been talking about how Vegas has been in kind of a bit of a slump, and they're finally kind of having their Stanley Cup hangover. It's a bit delayed because of how great of a start they had at the beginning of the year. So I wouldn't read too much into that. But, the win at Colorado yesterday, dominant. Like I said, that's a solid win. Again, win against the New York Rangers, a team that have been playing really hot. That's a good win. At Arizona, which is has been a house of horrors for some people. There's some wins that are more impressive in this streak than just necessarily looking at the 2 Vegas games or even last night's game. Because like I said, we're seeing these spots now where some of these top teams are kind of starting to struggle at the same time. So I give Florida a ton of credit for them to even be in this spot. Like I said, we thought they would be a team that would be fighting to, grab a wild card spot late in the year. And here they are firmly in second place and could easily push Boston and definitely will be hanging around that top 3 conversation for the majority of the second half of the year. So kudos to Paul Maurice and his crew for, like I said, getting everything together, battling through everything they need to just to be ready at the beginning of this year. And so far putting together a very strong effort in the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, this run of Florida, and it starts with Tkachuk, Verhaeghe, Barkov, and Bennett. They're all on fire right now. They're all playing great pretty much simultaneously for this team. Reinhart in particular all season has just been a monster for them, no question. And look, they've got everybody healthy. They're pretty much no major significant injuries to deal with right now, the Panthers at the moment. So, you look at it, and it's a very healthy bunch right now, and they're playing great hockey, and we'll see if they can keep that rolling. Last night, the Saturday night games, we saw Toronto take care of business against San Jose 4-1. I'll give the Leafs credit. No letdown spot. Finally, they don't play down to their competition. They go 3-0 on the California road trip and beat San Jose 4-1. How about this for a weird schedule? East versus West, Leafs and Sharks, obviously. They're both going back to Toronto, and they're playing each other again, actually, on Tuesday night. Pretty crazy, home and home with an East versus West team. It'll be the Sharks in Toronto on Tuesday night. They'll play each other once again, but the Leafs get the job done 4-1. All the rumblings are that William Nylander and the Leafs, it's just about a done deal, that he's going to extend there for the long term at north of $11 million per year. So it looks like the Leafs are going to get that contract done with William Nylander, and it will be announced imminently. Boston 7-3 against Tampa Bay. Very impressive by the Bruins. An onslaught there over the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know that was a good game for Alex. He was all over some first period overs and full game over in that Lightning and Bruins game. And I was on. I took a small piece of Boston, like I said, money line there, but 7-3 victory there for the Bruins. John Cooper was irate about a call, and he got himself an extra bench minor for it. He's been doing that a lot lately, squawking at the refs and complaining about calls. I think he's feeling a little frustrated with the inconsistency and the ups and downs, the ebb and flow of this Tampa team this year, and I don't blame him. Montreal, nice win, 4-3 in the shootout against the Rangers. They finally fixed their home woes, at least for one night. I thought it was a great performance by Samuel Montembeault. He was absolutely terrific throughout that game, including in the shootout. And the Habs get a nice 4-3 win against the New York Rangers. Credit to Minnesota. They got Zuccarello back. They did look better with him in the lineup. And they end up getting a 4-3 win in overtime against Columbus, coming back to get the Jackets in that one. I cashed the draw. Of course, Columbus falls short. I think Alex liked the draw too. Wild and Blue Jackets last night. So there we go. A draw bet a day keeps the bookies away. And we do get one there with the draw in the Wild and the Blue Jackets game. And shout out to a good friend of the show, or someone, a fan of the show that was at the game and was wearing the Ice Guys toque at that Wild and Blue Jackets game. We really do appreciate that, and I hope you enjoyed the game last night. He's a Jackets fan, so I don't think he enjoyed the final end result, but hope you enjoyed the game, and thank you very much for supporting the show. That was awesome to see that, so very much appreciate it, no question. JD, there we go, JD Bagley, shout out to you. Great job, and appreciate you tuning into this show every day and supporting it. Better days ahead for your Jackets. Keep the faith. Stay a fan. Be true, be solid. Remember, we've had these rants before, Alex and I. Alex and I have had memorable rants, especially about Leaf fans, where, they've been bounced out of the playoffs and they say, oh, I'm done with this team. I'm going to become a fan of another team now. It's such bullshit. It's the biggest crock of shit you'll ever hear. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be a fan of the team 10, 20 years from now, good or bad or indifferent. That's the way you got to be. So, JD, I know you're hoping that Columbus gets better, and it's been some tough years, but stick with them. And eventually you're going to see something good there. And look, they're starting to build. They've got some young talent there now, especially up front. Keep building, and you're going to see some good things down the road. Buffalo, I can't believe my eyes, Alex. They won 2 in a row. You got to be shitting me. They finally did it. They finally put back-to-back wins together. They're now 2-14 on the season after a win as they beat Pittsburgh 3-1 last night. And by the way, the coaching or the video review people or whoever makes sure that they buzz down to Don Granato to challenge things, they earned their money last night. 2 Pittsburgh goals got disallowed. with coaches' challenges in that game last night. So Sabres get 2 goals wiped off the board, and they beat Pittsburgh 3-1 last night. Nashville, wow. I mean, Dallas struggles. They're having a tough time, Dallas, right now. 4-3. And it boils down to they got to defend a little better. And look, the defense is not going to get any better when you're missing Miro Heiskanen, that's for sure. And the Stars are going to find that out. And, of course, as we've talked about ad nauseum, Wedgwood's just playing too many games. I think his play is regressing. There's no question. And you're seeing signs of that for sure. I thought 1, if not 2 of those Nashville goals last night. It's like, I'd like my goalie to stop that last night in that game. And Nashville gets the 4-3 win there. We don't get the full first period over. Son of a gun. It only 1-0 after the first. Yet the full game does go over. So guess we'll take it.
Yeah, and kind of want to respond to Colorado man in the chat. He goes, well, the run's over. And I go, how's the run over just because we've had a loss? It's now 17-3 in the last 20. 2 of the 3 losses have come against Nashville. So now maybe we identify that maybe that is just a trend that we don't bet this with Nashville. I don't think that's the case because in each of the last 2 meetings between Dallas and Nashville, yes, there was only 1 goal or fewer scored in that first period. The pace was there to where there could have been multiple goals. There were tons of chances going in both directions. You look at Dallas's next 9 games. They've got 4 division games coming up, a home-and-home series with Minnesota. They're back home again against Nashville. Then they go to Chicago. Then home against LA before going on a 4-game East Coast road trip. With no Miro Heiskanen, we're talking about either running more games with Wedgwood, starting Matt Murray, or Jake Ottinger comes back after being hurt. And we know how well he wasn't playing in the last week before he did get injured. I wouldn't be jumping off of this train at all right now. There's probably at least some spots where in at least 6 of the next 8 to 9 games, we'll still be getting some decent value in the first period over that probably cashes in. So I wouldn't be jumping off this wagon right away just because we've seen 2 losses against one team in this 20-game stretch, 24 and 13. So that's not me jumping off. I'm not jumping in the ocean yet, getting off of this barge right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like I say, I think you'd have to lose 3 in a row probably to say, okay, I'll park it for now with the Dallas first period overs. Because I remember I lost 2 in a row, and I still came back that next game, and that's when this mini next streak started, which got snapped last night. So that's what I think. I think if I lose 3 in a row at some point with this, then we'll say, okay.
Or if we start getting priced out.
Yeah.
Which we haven't done. Keep that in mind. We've seen streaks now within this of 4, 7, and 11, 12 games. In this whole season, they haven't adjusted the prices the way that they should be to 160, 170, 180 yet. So until that happens, or until they start losing in a streak, we're still going to be right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I wouldn't just say it's completely done just yet with the Dallas first period overs. Shocker to me and was because we had a lot of overs in this game. St. Louis, Carolina, 2-1. In a shootout for the St. Louis Blues last night. So this game probably hurt me more than any last night on the card from a negative standpoint, betting-wise. A 2-1 win for the St. Louis Blues. It was a good goaltending effort on both sides. I thought Carolina really tried to make life easy on Ronta. They were very, very good. They were on their toes defensively. They didn't give up a lot to the St. Louis Blues last night, and that really helped Antti Ronta along. He only faced 22 shots last night, made 21 saves, and Binnington was very good. So not much you can do there. And St. Louis gets the win, though, 2-1. I did say, with Ronta in net, Carolina, a little tricky to trust them as a bigger favorite. And the Blues get the 2-1 shootout win there. A great job by Vegas, bouncing back 5-2 against the Islanders. It was our good friend Zach Urban, our Saturday man on the Ice Guys show, his best bet, Vegas in regulation. It ends up coming through very easily, very comfortably as the Golden Knights get back on track, at least for one night, and take care of the Islanders last night, 5-2. And the woes continue for the Ottawa Senators, just in a bad way. Another loss last night, although Forsberg was very good for much of that game, keeping Ottawa in it. But here's Edmonton. Here's what's scary about Edmonton right now. The top players are rolling. They're getting depth scoring. Now their defense and their goaltending the last week or two has really been a lot better. Not just a little bit better, a lot better. And Skinner is in a great zone right now, and they're now in a wild card spot, and they're dangerous again. I mean, it's crazy. And I don't want to say we all totally wrote them off when they were struggling and they were way back, and Woodcroft got fired. We knew they had a run in them possibly to get back in it, but this is even better than I expected out of a run from Edmonton since the coaching change. So we'll see if they can keep it rolling, but they continue to play really good hockey. Another outstanding game for Zach Hyman last night for the Edmonton Oilers. It was absolutely remarkable, again, getting all 3 Oilers goals, the hat trick. That brought out a sing-song from Harner Ryan Singh on Hockey Night in Canada. Hat-trick Zach Hyman. He does that with the call. It's pretty cool. But Zach Hyman with the hat-trick, and the Oilers, another great victory last night over the struggling Ottawa Senators. Now, Ottawa's going to go home finally and be able to, I think, get some downtime and some practice time in. So maybe that gets them to turn it around at least a little bit. But still, I think they've left themselves too big of a hole at this point to get out of it with where they are in the standings right now. All right, let's get into the Sunday card. We got 4 games, and we'll begin with Calgary and Chicago. Flames minus 250, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. This is a very, very tough spot, tough situation overall for Chicago. You know, obviously they're a team that is slumping, we know, at the moment, entering this matchup with a 2-8 record in their last 10 games, 5 straight losses coming into this one, and obviously a very much banged up hockey team as well, which got even worse, obviously, with the events of what happened Friday night against the New Jersey Devils. I mean, you look at this injury list for the Blackhawks right now. It's ugly. You know, it already had Taylor Hall, Tyler Johnson, Seth Jones, Anthony Beauvillier, Andreas Athanasiou, Joey Anderson. Well, now you had Connor Bedard, and you had Nick Foligno, who Alex has been trumpeting to be the captain of this Blackhawks team. They're now unavailable for this game and beyond. So this is a very concerning situation right now for the Chicago Blackhawks that are, you know, we talked about how the Minnesota Wild have been icing an AHL team lately. Well, this is pretty damn close now with the Chicago Blackhawks as well, with what they're putting out there on the ice here for this game this afternoon, and probably moving forward as well for this Blackhawks team. Donato, Reichel, and Kurashev look to be the top line. And, of course, they don't have the straw that stirs the drink anymore. Connor Bedard on that top line because of that injury suffered Friday night. Gutman, Dickinson, Blackwell on the second line. And then you're down to the Boris Kachuks, Entwistles, Reese Johnson, Zach Sanford, who's somehow on this team now, Brett Seney, and Rem Pitlick on the fourth line. So, yeah, it's thin. It's absolutely thin. Even on the back end, too, when you got to put Nikita Zaitsev back in. That's not something I'm enamored about by any stretch of the imagination. So there's issues right now for Chicago. It's hard to back this squad right now. They have been feisty at home, but they were much healthier the last time we saw them playing at home than they are. That 5-game road trip just left them absolutely in tatters and struggling offensively, too. 4 goals in the last 4 games combined. I think it's going to be a tough spot for them here. Calgary's off on a back-to-back, so there is a rest advantage, slight rest advantage for Chicago, but I think it's negated by coming back home off the road trip where you're doing all that traveling, and now you're coming back home for that first game, and it was a 5-game roadie. Calgary off the loss to Philly 3-2. They'll be looking to bounce back here in this game. Chicago has actually been a thorn in Calgary's side, believe it or not. 3 straight victories for the Blackhawks against the Flames, but I wouldn't be on Chicago here. Just too many issues coming back home off a road trip. Very short-handed. Problem is Calgary minus 250. Where do you find the value? I lean to, gosh, if I had to, you know what? I don't do this very often, Alex, but if I had to, I'd actually go the puck line road on Calgary today, maybe. minus 1.5, plus 100. I feel that if Calgary wins, they're going to win by margin, possibly. I mean, Chicago just got way, way too depleted a roster right now, especially up front. So I haven't bet it, but I'll put a lean toward Calgary puck line here, minus 1.5. Certainly would prefer that, plus 100. Would prefer that definitely than regulation or anything else. What do you think here, Alex? Calgary, Chicago.
There's plenty of value to grab on Calgary. I have 3 plays on the Flames. I have Calgary first period puck line, laying the half a goal, plus 130. It's actually now plus 133 at Bet Online. Yep. I have first period over 1.5, minus $1.20. The series history for the first period over 11-1. And in each of the last 3 games, as you mentioned, we see the high scoring 2-1 to 3-1 to 2-1. So these have been flying over 1.5 in 11 of the last 12. And then the third one is Calgary team total over 3.5, minus $1.20. Except the Hawks are just going to be useless right now. This is a Sunday day game. with no Bedard, who is your leading scorer, no Foligno, who is literally your heart and soul, keeping all these other young guys in line. This team is Rockford. Hell, this team might even be Indy at this point. They're awful. And,
go down to the East Coast League team today. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Peter Mrazek is projected to start in net, so they're Rockford. They're Rockford when Mrazek's in net. They're Indy when Soderblom's in net. Either way, you can't bet on them right now. So Flames first period puck line, Flames team total over in the first period.
Yeah, tough times. I mean, and look, they've been getting good crowds at the United Center this season. They're coming to see number 98. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, forget about that.
Yeah.
It's 5,000 people again though.
Yeah, it definitely. And I've seen some of the atmosphere of when he scored to beat Winnipeg in overtime in a recent home game, and the place was packed, and that's about as loud as I've heard it since the golden era with Kane and Taves and Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith and all the Stanley Cup years with Chicago. I hadn't heard the building that loud in years when Bedard scored that game winner against the Jets. So they were packing the place to see the young kid. And now that he's out, you're back to your sterile environments, I think, again, in Chicago for some of these upcoming home games. The people are going to be, there's going to be lots of StubHub action going on and trying to get, sell some tickets here probably these next little while. So it shouldn't be that much of a big time road environment for the Calgary Flames to worry about. So there's that tells you all you need to know about Alex B. Smith, Blackhawks fan, grew up in Chicago, not scared to take a significant position and stance against them, especially with them at their probably most vulnerable right now with all the injuries at this point in time. So Calgary team total over, Calgary first period puck line, Calgary full game puck line for Alex here in this one. I'll probably play the first period and the full game puck line, split them up between the two. All right, Kings and Capitals. Oh, by the way, for props, there are a couple here, certainly on the Calgary side, Zary and Sharon Govich and Coleman. Yeah, I will point those guys out. But actually now I will say, and he has been for a while now, Alex, over plus 300 to score a goal for the Calgary Flames. And the reason why his price just dropped, because this is a guy at his prime, in years past, we've seen him plus 180, 200 to score a goal. But he's been plus 300 routinely for weeks, if not months, because of the bad season it's mostly been for him in Calgary. But don't look now. There is a pulse in Jonathan Huberdeau for the Calgary Flames. He is starting to percolate. That was a beauty of a goal he scored yesterday against the Philadelphia Flyers. And if I'm not mistaken now with Hubie, that is now either back goals in consecutive games or 2 goals in the last 3 games, something like that. It's 2 goals in the last 3 games for Jonathan Huberdeau. I'm telling you, plus 330 on FanDuel for Jonathan Huberdeau to score a goal today. I'm interested, because now he's been devalued and now he's starting to get his confidence back. And that's all it takes. 1 or 2 times the puck goes in for you, and all of a sudden you get a little confidence. So, Mangiapane I don't mind either, but I like Huberdeau at plus 330. I think that's an excellent price for someone that's starting to heat up, and we're certainly worried about Chicago being able to hold up today on the other end. All right, LA, Washington, Kings minus 180, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. The LA Kings, look, they've been through a very tough stretch, struggles, poor play again on home ice, struggling to win games at Crypto Arena again during this 4-game losing streak. 3 of them were at home. But then you do have to think about this. Now, the Detroit loss was one where you'd like to see them win that, because Detroit's been up and down. But the other 3 teams were Vegas, Edmonton, and Toronto. So there's really no shame in any of those losses in terms of the quality of the opponent. But you still would love to see what we think is still a quality team in LA at least win one of those games. They were not able to, but now they're back on the road where they've been warriors. I mean, 13-2-1 on the road this year for the LA Kings. They're coming into this game with focus. And I continue to say this about teams that play the Washington Capitals. If you're focused to beat Washington and you're the better team than Washington, you'll beat Washington. And we are starting to see signs of that. Capitals are finally starting to come back down to earth. There's no way they were going to keep that up. No way. And now they're 1-6 in their last 7 games. They're going back in the other direction right now, especially the last 2 losses for the Capitals, beaten 12-5 combined on the scoreboard against New Jersey and Carolina. Both of those losses at home, by the way. So when you look at the Kings here, they're back on the road where they're at their best. Washington is now starting to regress finally. and come back down to earth, because a lot of their record was better than their statistics indicated. And we're starting to see some definitive signs of that in recent games. We don't have goalies confirmed yet, but we expect Cam Talbot, Darcy Kemper to be the goaltending to be the starters in this game, although it hasn't been confirmed as of yet. This game for me, it's funny. Alex mentioned the puck line splits in the last game with Calgary and Chicago. That's what I'm going to do here in this game. I'm going to go with LA minus a half, plus 160, first period puck line at Bet365. And I'm going to go with that a little safer with the full game puck line. I'm going to go minus 120 with the LA Kings for the full game puck line. I think this is the spot. I really do. I think this is the spot. This is still, I am not abandoning ship on LA. Yeah, they're having their little funk right now. Hasn't been great for them the last 4 or 5 games. But get away, get on the road, bond as a team, back where you're playing your best hockey this year, away from home, against a team that's starting to come back down to earth and struggle themselves. I think it's the perfect opportunity for the LA Kings here to snap the skid. LA minus a half, plus 160 in the first period, and I'll go with LA minus 1 for the full game puck line as well, minus 120. Alex, Kings Capitals.
Yeah, I'm just keeping it simple with that first period puck line. I got plus 158. I grabbed it at Caesars. But like I said, I can see where Kings maybe start off a little bit hot, and then this game kind of slows down a bit, and then the Kings just kind of maybe sleepwalk through the third period, come out with a 4-1, 4-2 kind of win. It seems like that kind of a sleepy kind of a game. So I think there'll be time to grab some stuff in game. Possibly could be able to get that first period win, and then hope for Washington to score early in the second, and then we can try and grab Kings, plus money at a cheaper price in game. Maybe try to grab a lower total later in the game. So this will be one I'll be watching and trying to pick off some live action with. But pregame, I'm going with Kings first period puck line.
And a few lineup changes here for Todd McClellan. I don't blame him. You got to try to shake things up a little bit right here, and he's going to put Dubois, Kempe, and Laferriere on the second line. So Dubois is moving up, and Laferriere is moving up. So there could be some value with them. And Trevor Moore, also, that's another change. Kempe's been with Kopitar and Byfield for the longest time. Looks like it'll be Trevor Moore with Kopitar and Byfield today on the top line for the LA Kings. So again, you're going to probably see some value with Moore, probably see some value with Laferriere and Dubois now that they're playing with on the second line with Kempe today for the LA Kings. So some line juggling for Todd McClellan. It's got to be done. I mean, the team's lost 4 in a row. We'll see if the Kings can get back on track to honestly in where they've done their best and their most damage this year on the road. We'll see if the road journey can once again pay off and get LA going again. All right, next up we've got Winnipeg and Arizona. Jets minus 150 road favorites, 6 the total in this game. The Jets, I'll tell you what, you talk about just being businesslike, being workmanlike. There's nothing more that symbolizes that than Winnipeg's last 2 victories on this road trip. Were they pretty? No. Were they dominant performances? No. But they got the job done, and they got the 2 points at the end of the night. That's what they did against San Jose, 2-1, Anaheim 3-1. They weren't overpowering in either game, but they found ways to win and keep this great run going. Now 8-0-2 without a regulation loss, this Winnipeg Jets team in their last 10 games. So we'll see how they fare here in this one. Their 2 losses were in OT. Arizona has had a tough last 2 games at home. I mean, 9-2, outscored by the Islanders and the Panthers in the last 2 home games combined. They'll be looking to bounce back here in this one. I do think, though, when you look at this spot for Winnipeg here, at San Jose, at Anaheim, now you're at Zona, a Zona team that's lost 2 in a row at home that I think is going to fire back with a strong punch. I don't know if it'll be good enough because Winnipeg's the better team for sure. But I think they will fire back with a strong punch. And keep in mind, they still are, even with these last 2 home losses, Alex, they are still 12-7 at home at Mullet Arena this year. So still a pretty good home record. So I'm going to go with the draw here. This is the draw that I like on this card today. It's Winnipeg, Arizona. I think you're going to see competitive game. But let's be real with Winnipeg. San Jose was this close for overtime. Same with the Anaheim game. The Anaheim game was 1-1 in the third period early on before Winnipeg pulled away. So there was some overtime potential in those 2 games against San Jose and Anaheim. Arizona's a notch above those 2 teams at the very least. So I like the draw here, Jets and Coyotes. Alex, what do you think here? Winnipeg, Arizona.
Yeah, I'm on the draw here too. This is actually the strongest draw. Like I could kind of make a case for the other game, but like I said, yeah, this is definitely one of those spots. We've seen 4 of the last 6 meetings have been decided by 1 goal. 2 of those 4 have gone past regulation. Rich H mentioned in the chat, division battle. So points are a premium. These are 2 teams. Obviously, Arizona is going to be fighting around in that wild card spot the whole time. The Jets are kind of be bouncing between kind of second, third, fourth within that central. So points are a premium. I can definitely see as being kind of a tight contest. So plus 325, I want the regulation draw.
All right, there we go. Liking the draw here with Winnipeg and Arizona. No argument here. I think it's going to be that kind of game. No question about it. Pretty competitive. I think Arizona will play a lot better. And I know Andre Tourigny, a little critical of his team after that Islander game, which was just got away from them. It got a bad third period for the Coyotes in that game when it ended up 5-1 in favor of the Islanders. So I think they'll play a lot better. The question is, will it be enough to win? I don't want to, worry about that. What I want to worry about is competitive game, and I think a very good chance we see overtime here. So both of us liking the draw in this game. As far as player props, we've mentioned the same, type players repeatedly for the Jets, but we'll reiterate it once again. Perfetti, Velarde, no question. Morgan Barron, who almost scored against Anaheim. He was right around the net, and he got stopped on a really good chance against Anaheim, or else that would have been 3 straight games with a goal for him. So Morgan Barron is probably still worth a look here for the Jets. And then on the Arizona side, look, they have struggled here to score goals, so I wouldn't say load up on Arizona players at the moment as far as goal props are concerned. But Alex Kerfoot has been one of their better forwards lately, and Dylan Guenther has been called up from the AHL. He's got a ton of talent. Andre Tourigny's not screwing around. He's putting Guenther in a second-line top 6 role with Jack McBain and Matthias Michelli tonight. So why not take a shot there? Dylan Guenther. They need a spark offensively right now, Arizona, after what we've seen the last 2 games. And this kid can bring it. He's got terrific offensive talents. We've seen it certainly in the junior level. We've seen it, at times at the end. Remember, he's already been with this team at the NHL level for a handful of games in the past. So Dylan Guenther, plus 500 at FanDuel. I don't mind taking a shot there. Of course, he got into how many games last year? I'm just taking a look. 33 games with Arizona last year, 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points in his first foray in the NHL. So not bad. I think plus 500 worth a look there on Dylan Guenther tonight as he gets inserted into the lineup with Andre Tourigny and the Coyotes looking for an offensive spark. All right, the final game of this Sunday card, Detroit, Anaheim. Red Wings minus 160, road favorites here at Honda Center, 6.5 the total. In this game, obviously Anaheim's had a brutal run lately, and what's even harder to accept about why Anaheim's gone 4 losses in a row is we were just starting to see this team, at least from a health standpoint, turn a corner. And then when they got everybody healthy, they lost a couple. And since then, they've continued to lose. And now the health isn't there anymore either for Anaheim because Troy Terry is on the IR. They've had Ryan Strome and Max Jones as game-time decisions for this game tonight. So all of a sudden, the forward, injuries are starting to mount just a little bit. Thank goodness they still have Mason McTavish, back and on the ice. I don't know what they would do at this point without him because he got their only goal, of course, against Winnipeg on Friday night. So it's tough sledding for Anaheim. They'll try to bounce back and get out of this little funk and this slide that they're on. Detroit, Alex Lyon, of course, in net with Billy Husso still on IR, and obviously they've clearly packed it in on giving James Reimer another start with how dreadful he was during that run of games that he had to play earlier in December. So it is Alex Lyon for now. Lyon has not been as good since he's been back from injury. He's given up more goals. He was very good against LA, though. When that game was on the line, he had to make some pretty big saves in that game. So Alex Lyon gets another start here for Detroit. John Gibson is expected, but not yet confirmed in net for Anaheim here in this game tonight. My play is simple. We've talked about Detroit overs. We've talked about how this has been a absolute money train, it looks like, with the Red Wings as far as overs are concerned. Now, Anaheim, not so much. 3 of their last 4 games have gone under. But we kind of said LA would get a boost offensively playing Detroit, and they did score 3 goals in that game, including 2 very early in that game. Maybe Detroit can be a boost for Anaheim's struggling offense right now, just a little bit, even though they're without Troy Terry and, of course, the rookie Leo Carlsson. Both of those guys still on IR. But I think Anaheim can score here, and I think Detroit's certainly going to be capable of finding the back of the net. There's nothing wrong with the Red Wings offense. Their defense has been suspect. The goaltending's been inconsistent. But there's nothing wrong with the Red Wings offense. They have scored 3+ goals in 5 straight games entering this contest. And like I said, the Red Wings have gone over the total in 7 of their last 8 games. 7-1 to the over in their last 8 games, and 5 straight overs for Detroit coming into this game tonight against Anaheim. So I'm going to look in that direction, over 6.5 here with the Red Wings and the Ducks. Might be a decent first period, both teams to score game as well in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Detroit, Anaheim.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I grabbed. I actually got that at plus 160 at Bet Online, along with that over 6.5 laying $1.15. I think to see goals back and forth. Like I said, Lyon hasn't been as solid as he was when we first saw him call up, and that's kind of been the story of his career. When he gets called up, he brings a boost to the team and plays well, and then once he settles in, he kind of regresses back to his AHL form. So with that being said, I think we see goals going both ways. So I like both teams score in the first period at plus 160, and I like over 6.5 minus $1.15.
All right, so there we go. Both of us liking that. First period, both teams to score over 6.5. Probably a good prop game as well. Robbie Fabry back to the #1 power play unit, and guess what? He scored twice against LA. Streaky player. Remember when he had that goal-scoring splurge earlier this season? It was in bunches. He scored like 7 or 8 goals in like a 10-game span. That's what Robbie Fabry can do. So as soon as you start to see him find the back of the net in a game after a little slump, it's usually a time to get back on the express when it comes to Robbie Fabry. So maybe looking at props there. Of course, the Kane DeBrincat tandem, they're always a threat. But I think David Perron is also someone a little undervalued right now for the Red Wings because he's been bumped up the lineup by Derek Lalonde in recent games, playing with Raymond and Larkin on the top line. And if you look at Perron's production lately, 2 goals and 3 points in the last 3 games. So I think he's got some value as far as his props go. For Anaheim, we've talked about with the lineup shuffling due to the injuries at forward that they've had some lineup changes. Jones has been on the top line, but he's questionable for this game. So who's going to take that spot if Jones doesn't with Henrique and Zegras on the top line? That's something to look for as far as goal props on Anaheim, because whoever takes that spot, probably there's value. And then I'd look at McTavish and Vetrano probably as the other main 2 options for Anaheim. Most of their goals have been coming from McTavish and or Vetrano, not only this season, but of late as well. All right, great stuff. That is the Sunday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And a reminder, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 a month. Make sure you get on board. Our daily card is posted there. Sides, totals, player props, goalie charts, totals charts, and more as far as content. We're going to have bonus videos and shows here in the new year, including later in January, our first Patreon exclusive Ice Guys Live Betcast toward the end of the month. So we're looking forward to that. It'll be a surprise date. We'll just pop the link the day of the Betcast on the Patreon page. You will see it and you will know we've got a Betcast that night. So we're looking forward to that first exclusive Patreon Betcast later in January. And of course, our main Betcast is Tuesday, January 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern time, a week from Tuesday. We're looking forward to it. You DM or email me or Alex, and we will send you the link to the Betcast, the StreamYard link to join us. We're looking forward to that Tuesday, January 16th, our first live Betcast of the new year. So again, make sure you sign up. Your $10 per month that you subscribe to Patreon helps ensure this show lasts for the long run. So patreon.com/Ice Guys. Sign up there, just $10 per month. And again, make sure you get yourself some gear and some merch for the new year at our Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, big shout out again to JD Bagley, who wore that wonderful toque to the game as they're in Columbus and Winnipeg, keeping himself warm close to the ice. And you can get yourself a toque or a T-shirt, a hoodie, anything you want. We've got all kind of great merch available, and you can get it 24% off. Today's the last day for that promotion. Available right now, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right. Yeah. Check out the store. A lot of good stuff there available for purchase. All right. It's also good stuff that's available for purchase. bargain bin goal props, and we've been doing a great job all season with them. Hit another one last night with the Gus Bus. We talked about it. Gustav Nyquist, and he didn't wait long. He got the first goal of the game last night against Dallas for the Nashville Predators. A great price. I couldn't believe he was plus 380 at FanDuel. What a great price that was. Another bargain bin special comes through. We'll see what we've got in store for an encore here on this Sunday. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special. What do you like?
Yeah, we're heading out to the west side of Chicago, but we're looking at a Calgary Flame, and we're looking at a kind of top-line Calgary Flame to get things rocking and rolling early. Like I said, I like goals early in this contest, and I think one of them will come from Elias Lindholm. I have him at first goal plus 1,300 at FanDuel. Taking a shot with that, but kind of slacking in the bargain bin department for me over the last week. Had a couple of close chances, but nothing hit. And I think this might be one that we can get with a great price plus 1,300. Elias Lindholm gets the first goal of the game in Calgary and Chicago today.
All right, I like it very much there, Elias Lindholm. I'm going to go with two bargain bin specials today. One from a day game, one from a night game. And in the day game, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to someone that's, he's been ridiculed, he's been tarred and feathered, he's been blasted, he's been criticized for what's happened to your game the last 2 years in Calgary. Well, now he's got 2 goals in the last 3 games, and that was maybe one of the best goals, probably the most pretty goal he scored as a Calgary Flame yesterday against Philly. Jonathan Huberdeau, plus 330 at FanDuel. To find the back of the net. So Jonathan Huberdeau, Calgary Flames, plus 330 at FanDuel for my first of 2 bargain bin specials. The other one, we're going to go to Detroit, Anaheim, and we're going to go with David Perron, plus 300, right on the nose, just enough to be bargain bin material. David Perron, plus 300 at FanDuel for the Detroit Red Wings for 2 bargain bin specials on this Sunday. Jonathan Huberdeau, plus 330 for Calgary, David Perron, plus 300 for Detroit. All right, it is time for best bets to wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys show. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, going right back to that Flames Blackhawks game, where we're going with the first period over 1.5 minus $1.20. Now, you could really even kind of just roll with Calgary. I believe it's going to be Calgary doing the bulk of the scoring all day today, but we're just kind of rolling with this trend. 11-1 the last 12 between these 2 meetings. And if the Hawks are going to show any kind of life and fight and next man up mentality, it would be in the first 20 minutes. So I could trust on them to get a goal early and certainly could trust on Calgary to get some goals early as well. So Flames, Hawks, first period over 1.5 minus $1.20. That's my best bet for the Sunday.
I mean, that's a pretty strong trend. 11 of the last 12 meetings, first period over. So that's pretty damn strong stuff. Calgary, Chicago, over 1.5, minus 120 in the first period. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. My best bet for this card, I'm going to go right back to the well with the Detroit Red Wings and their over train that keeps on rolling down the tracks. 5 straight overs, 7-1 in the last 8 games to the over for Detroit. I think I've been on the majority of those overs, if not all of them. And I'm going right back to it tonight. Detroit Red Wings, Anaheim Ducks, over 6.5, minus 115 for my best bet for this Sunday card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys show. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the NFL, the NHL, and everything else. Good luck with your wagers, and we will see you again tomorrow on Monday for a brand new week and another edition of the Ice Guys.